So hi guys, this is Chetan Pudar back again, and I'm just trying to continue with the video which I had made earlier, and this video was about how to learn the stock market and how do you go about doing things in the stock market and learning them. So the first part was a little bit more about the harder topics, but now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the softer topics. This is an exclusive IMS material, so please do not share it outside the group. See, understand one thing. While I have been teaching people how to trade into the stock markets, I have very often noticed that people, sit down and learn this course, and immediately they want to start. Their focus is into making money and start making a lot of money. So hence they start trading futures and options. And if you're going to do that, you're going to get into big trouble. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because you have to understand the mechanism about what the stock market is, and the mechanism about how you behave in the stock market, and what is it that makes stock markets a little bit so much special. Learning about the stock market is a little different because you have to learn it on an involuntary basis, not on a voluntary but on an involuntary basis. Now let us quickly drill down about what are the different aspects of about the stock market which make it the learning of it makes it a little bit so much more different and special than any other topic. Number one, that there are four different things which you need to process mentally when you are into the stock market. Understand one thing, learning about the stock market is about processing information, which means you get a certain amount of information, you are processing that information, and you are taking a decision. Now, which means your brain has to work like a processor or like a computer, which means you get a certain amount of information, your brain processes that information and gives you output is your decision. You execute that decision into the stock market, and that is where you're going to make money or not make money. Now the decisions in the stock markets are basically on four folds, which means there are four different vectors which you are processing the information. The first information is the emotional information, which means that while you are trading into the stock markets, a lot of emotional information gets processed. At one point of time, you are going to be engulfed with greed. On another point of time, you are going to be engulfed with fear. At the third point of time, you're going to be engulfed with confusion. And the worst part is that you are going to go through greed, the emotion of greed and fear and emotion exactly at the same time, which means in 1 second you're going to have greed, in 1 second you're going to have fear, in 1 second you're going to have confusion, and you have to actually take a decision which is going to affect whether your account goes up or it goes down. Now, to give you an example, let's say for example you have taken a trade, and while you're taking a trade, in 1 second the stock market moves in your direction and makes about let's say 20,000 rupees for you. Now your mental senses kind of get overwhelmed when you are having made 20,000 rupees in about 5 or 10 minutes. At the same time, market starts turning down and comes down. Now that greed turns into fear, and you all of a sudden look at the chart and you are figuring out that the price is actually coming down from making 20,000 positive into 10,000 negative. Now, from one point of time where you are into greed and you are very happy and exactly in about 5 minutes time you are going to fear psychosis, and you are getting into pain, and then there is a lot of confusion in between. So imagine your brain trying to process pleasure, pain, confusion. Your brain trying to process a lot of greed, a lot of fear, and a lot of confusion. Now, believe it or not, this kind of emotional processing takes a toll on you. It really actually wears you down, and hence a lot of people are not able to process this over a period of time. We don't even acknowledge that this kind of emotional processing is needed. So unless so which means you have to get accustomed to it. Second part of it is that you have to process technical information, which means you are going to be looking at charts and you're going to be processing technical information. Now, while you're processing technical information, first of all, you're going to be looking at charts. Now, the information which you get out of charts is very minimalistic, which means you really are not having an access to a lot of information. So, first of all, you are looking at charts. I don't know what is your level of understanding about the charts. So let's say your knowledge about the chart, let's say the charts are giving you 100% information. Now, because of your lack of knowledge or limited knowledge, your understanding of the charts is only about 50%. Now, further up to that, you are not able to process the information because markets are giving a lot of confusing signals, which means your knowledge and information about the charts and how the chart works comes down to actually 20%. Now, the dichotomy of our mind is that we are trying to take a decision which is going to affect our account, and your happiness or your greed depending on information which is only 20% information at most. Max, I'm just giving you a better figure that is 20%, but there are very high chances that you could actually have the information as less as 5 or 10%. Now, so that's a confusion, right? You are expected to make money out of information which is only 10%. Yeah, and that kind of wears you down, so your mind has to process that information, which is very difficult. A lot of people are not able to do that. Third, we have been taught all over for last 20-25 years, from an educational point of view, that you need to use your logic. Yeah, so you're basically trying to look at the markets and use logic. But the fact of the matter is that markets really don't work on logic. Markets work on emotions. Market works um, on a lot of other parameters which you and I as a human being are not able to process. So you are thinking about the stock market from a logic point of view, and the market really is not logical. Now that processing of that information wears you down. So actually at the back of your mind, this processing information is getting processed, where you are trying to think logically about something which you don't understand the algorithm and logic about. Yeah, so this is the third part of it. Fourth part of it is that market is completely irrational. Markets are completely irrational. They are completely unpredictable. They are completely volatile, and you are trying to make some sense. You are trying to put into boxes and get a confirmation saying that you are right or wrong about something which is completely unpredictable and irrational. So for you to process the information that you want to understand irrationality and randomness of the market, and trying to make it and process that information into something which makes sense, is wearing you down. So, having said that, which means at any given point of time, there are four things which you are processing. First of all, you are processing what is called as the emotional part of about you in the market. Second, you are processing the technical information part of you. Third, you are processing the logic part of you, and fourth, you are processing the irrationality part of you. And all this is going on at the back of your mind without you even knowing about it, and it really heats you up. And hence, and a lot of people. Which we know don't like to process information, because processing information and using your mind is heavy. It's not easy. Yeah, and hence most of the people don't want to be in the stock market. They just want somebody else to tell them whether they should be buying or selling. The reason why they want somebody else is because they don't want to process this for information. Yeah, and hence trading into the stock market or making money into the stock market is very difficult, because all of us have a habit of making things in a silo. All of us have a habit of putting things in a logical platform, and there is absolutely no logic to the stock market, and hence learning about the stock market is very difficult. Now this being the background, let us understand what we are going to talk to you about. So you come into the classes, you sit down and you learn, you read, you study, you work hard, you are trying to understand this information, and then you are trying to put a trade which is a futures trade, because you want to make money. So you're coming out of greed and a lot of confidence, saying that you want to make money, and you are not very good with that information and that knowledge in the first place. But at the same time, what you are really trying to do is you are trying to trade for something like 2.5 lakh rupees, because every futures lot would be about 2 or 2.5 lakh rupees. So understand this. So all this information is going at the back of your mind. Your mind is processing information. You are unstable. You are not able to understand this, and then you are trading an amount of 2.5 lakh rupees. Yeah. So the moment you're trading about 2.5 lakh rupees, all of a sudden, if you are lucky, and I'm not going to say you are right, because markets are always right and you're always wrong, but if you're lucky, the 2.5 lakh rupees immediately in about 1 day's time becomes about 2.75, which means you're making 25,000 rupees. Now that the act of making 25,000 rupees in about 1 day's time cannot be processed by your mind. Now, while you're making 25,000 rupees, suddenly the price starts coming down, and instead of making 25,000 rupees, you are actually now only making 10,000 rupees. And your mind is further getting stressed out, and then it comes back to negative 5,000 rupees. So this whole objective that you are making 25,000 rupees in 1 day and coming back to 10,000 rupees and then actually making a loss of 10,000 rupees cannot be processed. You have to learn how to process this information. You have to learn how to take this emotional beating. Yeah, and that is the reason why learning the stock market is a little difficult. So hence what I tell my students is, if you want to learn about the stock market, so learning the stock market is really not about learning the technical aspects of it, but learning how to process emotional information, which means you have to, over a period of time, and it only takes time for you to learn this, and it only takes practice, and it only takes to do things again and again for you to learn this. So basically learning about the stock market is about learning how to process emotional information. That is the whole key of it, which basically means that and hence this is the way you have to go about doing it. First, the moment you learn about the stock market and you learned every aspect of it, you start trading one stock. Start trading one stock, which means then you are confirming to yourself that you are processing the technical information and logical information properly, but you are not touching the emotional information part of it, because trading one stock is hardly going to make any money for you. And since it is not going to make any money for you, which means you are separating greed and fear out of logic. So right at this point of time, you're only focusing on logic, you're focusing on irrationality, you're focusing on randomness, you're focusing on technical information, but you're not focusing on emotional information. So all this is still okay because it does not touch you on an emotional part of you. So that emotional part is still out of the whole scenario. So now what happens is, you trade one stock, keep on trading one stock till the time you learn. Then you increase it to 10 stocks. Then you increase it to 100 stocks. So slowly you are learning how to process emotional information. Slowly you are learning how to process and understand what really goes on in your mind when you are trading one stock vis-a-vis 10 stocks. Slowly you are learning that it is okay to make 10,000 rupees and lose 5,000 rupees, because your decision about what you're going to do with the stock, about with 10,000 rupees profit and minus 5,000 rupees profit, is going to be very different from your decision about making 10 rupees and losing 5 rupees. So are you understanding? Which means now for a brief moment of time, think that you are making 1 lakh rupees in one day's time, and then you're losing 50,000 rupees. Your state of mind and your decisions are going to be very different from you making 10 rupees and then losing 5 rupees. Hence this emotional learning is what is required, and it takes time. Hence I say, go step by step. So start with one stock, move it to 10 stocks, move it to 100 stocks. And once you are comfortable trading about 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees of stock per stock, then you can move to futures. And then you can obviously move to options. Now the problem with options is that options is furthermore, like futures has about 2 or 3 variables, options has got 5 vectors and 3 more vectors which are personal vectors, which means you are going to be, apart from all the 4 points which I told you about, you are going to process about 7 more vectors, and it is going to shut down your mind. So unless and until this 4 or 5 points are very, very strong with you, you cannot move to the next level of processing 7 more information. So you have to learn the Greeks. So hence, learn the stocks, trade stocks, make money in stocks, then learn how to trade larger amount of stocks, trade larger amount of stocks, make money, then trade even more larger amount of stocks, trade larger, make bigger money, then move to futures, and then move to options. If you're going to skip any of these things, you are going to lose money, I guarantee you that. So I thought this tutorial will be able to help you how to learn and what the stock market is all about and how you're supposed to learn it and what are the vectors that you need to learn. So thanks guys, this is a exclusive material for IMS. Please do not share it outside the group.